Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is a Fuzzy Mage fight. This is just one of the cards from Fuzzy Mage fight. This game has fantastic art. I just wanted to show you this particular art card here. This is a game in which each player will be playing a cute little like kitten that just happens to also be a mage. There's other animals as well, but the kittens are really, really cute. But each one of the players will be attempting to collect 8 magic cards that they'll keep in their hand. And if they are able to do that before anybody else does, they will win the game. However, there's lots of other different kind of cards too. There's spells, there's traps, there's minions, lots of things like that. And what the players are going to be doing is they're going to not only be collecting magic, but they're going to be collecting those other cards, and they're going to be putting those cards in front of them so they can use those abilities to kind of build a tableau, if you will. Those cards are needed because as the game progresses, each mage will be attacking other mages in an attempt to try to incapacitate them. See, you can only win the game if you're actually active and you're not incapacitated. There's this form called, like, you're put into like an essence form, like, I don't know, like an astral entity, if you will. But the players can come back from that, but it basically slows them down and keeps them on the ropes, while you and the other players that aren't, you know, like been knocked into that state can continue on trying to collect that magic and trying to pull off the win. There's also a really cool mechanic where the players will actually ally with each other briefly to, like, basically bring themselves out of that incapacitated state, and they will work together and they'll get bonuses for working together, but eventually only one person can win. You can't have like a mutual victory. So that particular ally situation is going to crumble and fall apart as well. Each one of these mages have a bunch of cool little powers and abilities, both in their natural form and on their essence form. And there's also some cool other things like ally cards and things like that, which I will show you here in just a little bit. So let me show you how the game Fuzzy Mage Fight is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you why I have been enjoying it. Okay, this is Fuzzy Mage Fight. I've gone ahead and set up a 3-player game. What you see in front of you are the 3 fuzzy mages that the players are going to be playing, a giant stack of cards that you're going to be drawing from, and also this guy, which is known as the Garble, and I'll talk about those things a little bit. There are certain powers and abilities that are going to be resolved using a die, a 6-sided die, and that is why that is there. Normally what happens at the beginning of the game is after each person picks their unique little fuzzy mage that they're going to be using, they would draw 3 cards, then you'd start in, but I have given myself like 5 cards here, just so I can show you all 5 of the different cards. You can see what they do. There's potions and spells and traps and magic and minions, and I'll get to that in just a second, but I just wanted to kind of show you what you're looking at, because there's a ton of these fuzzy mages that you get to use, and each one of them, like, things I love about games is like these variable player powers that each person's gonna have. And so, like, here you have Gretchen, and Gretchen, as you can see, is a fuzzy mage, and Gretchen has 2 abilities. She has Clawsome, which is this one over here, and then she has over here this one called Counterattack. And then with Clawsome, all magic played in front of your hand is worth 2 during a battle, and that doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but it will in a little bit when I show you how battles work. And then over here, basically, if she gets attacked by somebody, she can immediately attack them back. And like I said, there are tons of these. Like here, this guy can go into essence form whenever he wants. Once again, what's essence form? I'll talk about that in just a second. Just here's a hint: the essence form is on the back of the cards. But anyway, I love games that, like, basically they give you tons of, like, different options like these do. And also, I'll talk about these a little bit more, but I'm not showing them during this playthrough, but there are also these like ally cards as well. So once you get a good grasp of how this game is played, you can play with these allies, and they will give you extra powers as well. But okay, anyway. So once everybody has picked their fuzzy mage, and once everybody, the first player is going to go first, but then has the Garble next to them, you're ready to go. And on your turn, you get to take 3 actions. And you don't have to take all 3, and you don't have to take any actions in specific order or anything like that. There are 3 different actions that you can take, and you can take each one 3. You can take the one 3 times, and so on. It doesn't matter. You can do it in any order you want. So The actions include drawing a card from the face down pile, which, you know, is as simple as drawing a card straight from the top of the deck there. You can attack an opponent fuzzy or an opponent's minion that they have out, which, you know, I'm going to talk about attacking here in just a little bit. Or you can place a card in front of you in your battlefield. Now, let me talk about the cards before I dive into how the cards work. There's a couple things you have to know. Most cards, basically all cards except for one kind of card, the magic card, have to be played in front of you before you can use them. It takes an action to put the card in front of you, but once the card is in front of you, you can use that card at any time for free. Basically, by using the action to put the card down in your tableau, that's you've like loaded it up with the action that you've taken. So this is a magic card, and I'll talk about magic cards here in just a little bit when we talk, because magic cards are used to defend and used to attack, and they also are the way that you win. If at any time a player has 8 of these magic cards in their hand, they will win the game. So that's one of the things that you have to keep people from being able to pull off. And it may seem simple. It's like, oh, I'm just going to draw a bunch of cards, but people are then going to attack you and try to knock you out, put you into essence form. Once that's if you lose a battle, that's what happens, and you can't win if you're in essence form. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's just take a step back. So then there are cards like this that are spell cards. It's like, and this one says destroy any minion is the spell. Now a spell card, you can't have it in your hand and play it. It's a card that you have to take an action. You put it face down in front of you, and then later on, you can take the card and you can flip it over, and you can use that magic spell that you have. That card kills minions, and this is a minion. Minions are the only card that when you place it in front of you, you place face up. You let everybody know that you have a minion. Every minion that you have in front of you when it is your turn, you're allowed to draw a card for free. It doesn't cost you an action to do it. So once again, remember, if you can get 8 magic cards into your hand, then you're going to win the game. So if a player has a bunch of minions in front of them, you're going to want to attack them and to take that and kill those minions, because they're going to get a bunch of cards in their hand. If they can draw a bunch of cards, then they're going to win the game. Now, a couple things. I should mention one thing real quick. You can only have a maximum of 6 cards in your tableau. So, and you can't willingly get rid of them. You have to actually use the cards to get rid of them. So just keep that in mind, that like, yeah, you can put the cards down, but if you're in a situation where, oh man, you got a really good card in your hand, you want to be able to put it down, you can't until you somehow are able to use that. All right, so this is a trap card. You can kind of see that little furry hand. And I should mention, the art in this game is super cool, and it is really well done. But like this one says, after you are attacked, discard 2 face-down cards from the mage that attacked you. So these are cards that when you place them, you'll place them face down in front of you in your tableau, and then if you're attacked, after the attack is resolved, you would say, and you might win you might successfully defend yourself, which is fine. But once you're attacked, you can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to reveal that card, and I'm going to use that trap on you because you attacked it. And that's where like one of these like kind of bluffing things goes on, where it's like, oh, I put this card in front of me. Do you dare attack me at this juncture? That kind of thing. All right, so then you have like potion cards. Once again, really, really nice art on the potion cards, but this one says your face down magic gets +1 during this battle. It may be used in attack and defense, and so like basically it's going to strengthen the magic cards that you use. And so that kind of just then, and once again you place that face down in front of you like so. So that once again leads into the magic cards. And the magic cards, you can see all say they're worth 1 magic in your hand, and they're worth 3 magic face down. So if you have a magic card face down, and remember, you need these in your hand to be able to attack people. So if you place a card face down, a magic card face down, you don't normally, there are some powers that allow you to swap out cards and things like that, but normally once your card is face down in front of you, it's gone. But when you put a card face down in front of you, it automatically becomes like a magic card in front of you. Instead of being a power of 1, it becomes a power of 3. And so you kind of have to, I like games where, I need this card to win in my hand, but at this juncture of the game, it actually might be more powerful, a better use for me to actually have a face down in front of me, because I can use it to defend myself. All right, so attacking. If you decide to take the action to attack somebody, how does that work? Basically, like what the players do is they say, if they're going to make an attack, they'll say, I'm going to attack either your fuzzy, or they say, I'm going to attack a minion. And they will then either reveal cards that they have face down in front of them that will be worth 3 power, or they will reveal cards in their hand and put it face down, and those are worth 1. Now there might be some things that like adjust that, you know, like if you have that potion that adds +1 to like the magic power, things like that. But for the most part, they're going to be worth either 3 or 1 depending upon. Then the other player has to decide, the one that's being attacked, do I want to defend myself? Do I have enough magic cards to defend myself to do things to stop that attack? And then they can match it. No, and then they can try to either match or exceed the attack value of the magic of the fuzzy magic user that's attacking them. A tie goes to the defender. They win. So 2 things happen. So if you win, if the defender wins, the defender wins. Sometimes there might be like some special ability, like the counter attack ability that one fuzzy player that I had, like they can immediately attack back, that sort of thing. Sometimes, like if you attack a minion, I should mention, you have to have an attack value of at least 2 to destroy a minion. So like you can't just reveal 1 card in your hand and say I'm attacking with attack value 1. That's not going to do anything. You can't kill a minion. But so if you successfully attack a minion, the minion is just destroyed and it's just sent to the discard pile. Pretty simple. But if you successfully attack somebody's fuzzy mage, what happens is that they are flipped over and they go into essence form. And so like this card right here, so this is Nez, and so Nez has like an ability where it's like if he's attacked, he can roll. So like let's say, you know, just for example, a 5 or a 6 means they dodge the attack. So their attack, you'd roll the die, and I would have rolled a 5, so the attack would have not succeeded, which is, you know, kind of neat or anything like that. But and then Nez also has the rabbit's foot action. So for all 3 actions, he can roll a die and then just draw that many cards. You know, and then so those are those special powers. But so when you get into essence form, you flip the card over like so, and then you are in essence form. And when you're in essence form, 1, you can't win. You could have 100 magic cards in your hand. You can't win because you are in essence form. And when you're in essence form, you do have a couple of abilities. Now, normally you can't. You can still use the ability of, if you have a minion in front of you, you can still use that bonus to draw cards, but you can't do anything else. And so like here, like Nez, like if he has minions, all of them draw 2 cards instead of 1. And then his other ability is the sleight of hand. You can switch a card in your hand with one of the face down cards. Now when you get into essence form, you have a couple of choices. You can either try your luck and roll a die to see if, like, you roll a 5 or a 6, which I just did. If you roll a 5 or a 6, you can flip the card over and then you become, you're back into the battle. However, another really cool option that you have is that if another player happens to be in essence form, so like let's say, you know, these 2 players have been knocked down, they're in essence form, they haven't been able to come back, what happens then is they can decide as a team to fuse together. When they fuse together, you're going to take 2 of these fuse cards and you're going to place those by the 2 players. And as soon as those two players are fused, then they will take these cards and they'll flip them back over like so. But now they are temporarily on a team. And you'll notice that this fuse card just says you get +1 action on your turn, and you can't win when you're fused. So like not only can you not win when you're in essence form, but you can't win when you're fused. Now there are some abilities that some of the fuzzy mages have that can break up a fused pair, but when you're fused together, you can't win, but you get that +1 action, which is powerful, remember, because you only get 3 actions, but having another action is really powerful. The way you bust up a fused action is that one of these mages on their turn has to make the decision that I am going to attack the other one. And if they succeed in the attack, now remember, like if defenders win, nothing happens, right? But, and I should mention too, if you successfully beat somebody in an attack, you do get to take one of their cards. So like there is a added bonus, like you get to add a card to your hand. But if so, like let's say later on, like it was my turn and I decided to attack this person because I didn't want to be fused anymore. If I successfully attack, this person would go back into essence form, and our fuse, our treaty would be over, and then we would back. And it's happened in times I played where like I've used that bonus to action to get magic cards in my hand. I've got 8 magic cards in my hand. I decided to attack them. I destroy them. Remember, I can't win when I'm fused. And then now all of a sudden I got 8 magic cards in my hand. I can show those 8 magic cards, and I've won the game. So that's like one of those things that goes on. And I really like the fuse thing. I think it's kind of a cool little method. The big thing is that when you're fused together, if like, say if we're both back together, like when we're fused like so, you share each other's fate. So if this person successfully attacked me again and knocked me into essence form, they both would go back into essence form. So you're kind of like, you're fused together, you're linked, you exist in the same realm, so to speak. Alright, so the only thing I haven't talked about is the Garble. The Garble is like this annoying creature that likes to eat cards. It likes to take cards out of your hand. So the thing is that on your turn, at the end of your turn, if you have no cards in your hand, that's good. Well, maybe not good, but the Garble will move on and go on to the next person down the line. However, if you have cards in your hand, you will have to roll this die, which if you roll a 5 or a 6, which I didn't roll a 5 or 6 for like the first time ever, but if you roll a 5 or 6, they will then move along and go to the next person. But if you don't roll a 5 or 6, they will then take one card randomly from your hand, and it will go to the discard. And it will stay with you. It's kind of like, it's just like this curse that just sits on you. Now, there are certain like cards and abilities and spells that will allow you to move the Garble along without having to roll that 5 or a 6. But trust me, it stinks having the Garble on you, and you want to get that moved on. And you will, and I've done this many times when I've played, I will forcibly make sure I get rid of all the cards in my hand, so then the Garble will be forced to move along. And that can be actually a very viable strategy, especially if the next player is getting close to the possibility of having, like, it looks like they got 6, 7 cards in their hand. I don't know if they have magic cards in their hand or not. You know, I'm emptying out my hand so I can get that Garble to move over, and hopefully they can eat up the cards that my opponent has, and then I'd be able to, like, prevent them from winning. And that's what that Garble does. So the game will just continue. It's like I said, the game has like a very few rules, but it has a lot of hidden strategy and depth to it. But eventually, somebody's going to be able to put together like the right combination of cards and abilities in the right specific time. Like I mentioned that one thing, like being able to having the magic cards in my hand and being able to attack somebody and to get out of being fused, and then being able to show that I have 8 magic cards and winning. And eventually somebody's going to win. This is a game that you're going to teach it really quickly, but it works best with a large group of people, in my opinion. Like 3 players actually feels really, really good, because like that's the fuse thing. But especially like 4 or 5 when you're playing with those, and you're able to have like multiple like fused partnerships going on at the same time, and they're kind of like they stick together and have like they ally with each other just for a little while, right? Until one will turn on the other one. It kind of tells a narrative, tells a story, and like it's one of those things, as soon as the game's over, you just want to reshuffle up the cards and play it again. But let me talk about that and more in my final thoughts. Oh, there we go. Fuzzy Mage fight. Alright, so I hope you have a good idea of how the game is played. I didn't really go through like a turn-by-turn basis. I mean, as I mentioned in the how to play, this is a game like, hey, these are these 3 actions you can do. The big thing about it is that like the only like rule that my group had to kind of wrap their head around was the fact that like once the card was in front of you, it didn't cost any actions to then pull that card up, you know, and use it for the ability that it is. The couple things I really like about the game is one, as you watch people placing those cards in front of them, and you really have no idea, well, other than the minion card, you really have no idea what they're placing down, and so there's always this like kind of dread and uncertainty when you know you're going to like pull off an attack and try to take somebody out, but you're worried about like what kind of special powers, what kind of special traps they might have waiting for you if you actually go through with that attack. But you also know that like you have to weaken, if everybody just tries to like boost themselves up, and then you're basically you're up to the chaos and the randomness of the cards that you draw. And you know, and as soon as you have like 5, 6, 7 cards in your hand, that's the moment where people are going to attack you and they're going to like be trying to take you down. So as I said in the how to play, you have to find like this perfect kind of combination of both magic cards in your hand, plus you can't just draw them, right? I mean, yeah, I guess suppose like if you could, but wary players on the other side of the table are going to be counting the number of cards in your hand, and they're going to, as soon as you get close to that point where they might pull off the win, they're going to start stomping on you and trying to take you down. I mean, at the very least, if you make an attack on somebody and they have to use cards to defend themselves, then you are in a situation then where you burned up that resource for them. So you are in this weird kind of like sticky situation there where I like games like this where the resource that you need to use to prevent other people to win is the resource you need yourself to win the game. And so you have to strike this kind of very good balance, and like I said, have like this perfect kind of conflagration of your perfect storm, if you will, of the abilities that you manage to collect and put down in front of you, the powers that your allies have, powers that your essence form has, then you actually then come back, things like that will then combine together to put you in the spot where you have those 8 magic cards. And the game lasts exactly as long as it should. If this, I always worry about games like this, about like them becoming a like beat up the leader game. But because of the fact that you kind of just have no real idea of what type of cards each person has in their hand and what how far along they are to that win, I find myself saying, well, they might have 8 cards in their hand, but there's no way on earth, or 7 cards, or there's no way on earth they're all magic cards. So I feel pretty good about like letting them go one more turn before I really put the beat down on them. And so you're making decisions like that. You're making you're hedging your bets, if you will. And then there's that horrible moment of dread when it gets to their turn and you're watching them like, oh, and then they say, I'm going to draw cards for every single one of my actions. You're just like, oh, don't draw enough magic cards. And I like that. I mean, I do like that. And if they win, fine. The game, like I said, lasts about 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It lasts just as long as it needs to be, exciting, to have the right tension amount, and like also the players having fun, calling out each other, doing a little trash talk and having some fun, beating up on their cute little puppy or kitten or whatever they happen to have in front of them. So my family really enjoyed it. My group of men in their 40s that comprise my gaming group, we really enjoyed it as well. And I think that if you like games like this, like very, very quick to teach, very, very, I used to call these lunchtime games when I used to work at the financial institution that I worked at before I got a job in the industry. And these were the types of games that I put in my my lunch bag, and I'd be and there'd be my friends that I worked with, and this is what we would play when we were eating our sandwiches and enjoying our lunch. Something that we could play quickly, teach quickly, and have fun quickly. And it'd be one of those things that we play all the time. So there you go. That is Fuzzy Mage Fight. If you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it very, very much. And also, you out there, the same thing I say all the time now, be the best version of you that you possibly can be. Remember to be awesome. Remember to be kind and love the people that give you the time of day to love you, because remember, they're giving you their energy to make you feel better, so you need to give that back. And I guarantee you, the more love and happiness and kindness that you spit out into the universe, the more is going to come back and feast themselves right down in your lap, and you're going to be a happier dude or dudette. I guarantee it. So you be awesome. I'll talk to you, and I'll see you with the next video.